You're listening to End of the Reel.
Oh my god!
G'day everyone, and today we are doing the movie Abraxas. I'm your host Jared, and this is my co-host Ethan.
Hi.
So, we did the movie Abraxas. It is a sci-fi, I suppose? Yeah.
It's not so much a sci-fi. Well, it's a sci-fi, but it's also just a rip-off of the Terminator.
It is a huge
With
rip-off of the Terminator.
A hugely complicated alien plot on top.
It's incredibly obvious that they're going for the Terminator in this film.
Yeah.
And
It's Abraxas, the Guardians of the Universe.
yes.
And
Guardians, they're not very good Guardians, that's for sure. Okay, so let's start with the
What is Abraxas? The character.
the guy.
Yeah.
He is a human.
So Abraxas is a Sargassian from
Oh.
his home planet of Sargassia.
Yes.
He is a finder, which is some sort of universal policeman.
Yeah, space cop.
And we're introduced... They're space cops.
They're space cops.
That's what they are. They're space cops, apparently. And we're introduced to them by him having been strapped down and he's being electrocuted. And there's just this long exposition explaining what the process to become a finder is.
Well,
They're tied down and
Yeah.
they're vaulted.
vaulted. Exactly. Because that gets rid of their emotions or something
No,
like that.
no. It electrifies something around their bones and they have like plasteel.
Yes.
Because he comments that it's like plasteel or something all over his body, and he's getting a special upgrade at the time. So they're basically invulnerable, and they've got these little they call them answer boxes on their arms that just tell them everything they need to know.
Basically, their Google Assistant?
Yeah, in a video game it would be like the
Cortana.
hard finder thing. Yeah.
Cortana, yeah. And they got little Google Assistants and they have to go on missions, but it seems like we only ever see one mission, which is him trying to get this one renegade, which he's caught like 5 times. And his whole thing is
his ex-partner Secundus has
Yeah.
come to Earth for some reason.
No.
I mean, there's a reason, but
Yeah.
there's so many questions, but they answer so many things we don't care about. Like they give us the whole exposition backstory on how these policemen warp around the universe. There are special warp tunnels in reality that they've learned to use, and you can only use the warp tunnels at one time. But at the same time, I have no idea who the kid is.
Hey,
Like I know
this is world building 101, you know? We need this shit.
So Secundus, the evil finder, he impregnates this chick with his hand. Is that his kid, or has he stolen that embryo from somewhere?
Well, he needed a womb. He needed a womb bearer, didn't he?
He needed a birthing
Breeder.
breeder. A breeder.
Yes. And so he finds some like kids and they're in a car and he just basically like the dude comes out to fight him and he just beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, well, Secundus,
And then the dude
evil
runs
one,
off.
is basically invulnerable.
That kid runs off and is like, I'm sorry, run. And then she, instead of running, just sits in the car for him to come into the car.
Well, I think she was in shock.
And then she gets the baby in her.
Yeah, so Secundus, the evil finder, for some reason has come to Earth to find a breeding partner.
Well, he's come to Earth because he wants to get the power.
Yeah, is a very simple villain. He wants to rule everything. The police are actually corrupt or something. It's just he wants power.
He wants to live forever.
Just power.
No, he wants to live forever, remember?
Well, but they live as long as they get the vaulted thing. So he could just keep getting vaulted.
Yeah, I think
Because
that's what
every
our
time
main
they're
character
vaulted,
did.
they live longer.
Yeah, it was really weird. I think that's what our main character was doing. Not quite sure, because he was like, well, why don't you just become a finder? And he's like, no, it's not the same.
Well, he had been a finder. Yeah, so the evil Secundus wants more power, and to get it, he's going after the anti-life equation.
Yes, which
Now-
you can only get from impregnating a woman with this baby thing, which then apparently makes a kid, which can figure out the equation for
Yeah.
you.
So only comatars or comagars, they pronounce it like 15 different ways
Oh,
throughout
that's
the movie.
terrible.
Everyone pronounces it differently.
And our copy was bad,
only
so yeah.
you can find this movie on YouTube, by the way. Only comagars can find it, and comagars have to be like bred. So
Yeah.
he's impregnated this woman with this kid who will eventually be able to work out the anti-life equation.
Did you find that weird that everyone had the equation?
What?
They had the equation on them to give to the kid.
No, the kid works out the equation.
Yeah, but they
But they have to know what the
equation
equation is to know Because, okay, so later on in the film, to find the life equation, their answer boxes they've got attached to their arms can run a test on the people to tell if they've got it or not. And it kills whoever they touch when they're doing the test. But wouldn't they have to know what the equation is to know if someone's got it?
Huh?
Okay, so they want to find the life equation, yeah? The anti-life equation. The answer boxes on there...
They want the answer to the anti-life equation.
No, they want the anti-life equation. Because if you have the anti-life equation, apparently what can happen is you can open... you can basically enter this other dimension, or you can draw on this other dimension, this unlife dimension, which basically gives you godlike powers.
See, I was so confused with
It's
what
basically
he
like
got.
magic.
Because the kid has magical powers later on.
Well, the kid later on in the film, he starts to draw on it occasionally when he's upset, and he's got like telekinesis, sort of strangeling things level power. And then later on, when he's really upset, he's like just looking at stuff, and whole buildings are exploding.
Yeah.
So it must be pretty powerful. I don't know what the Secundus actually wanted it for.
I think maybe he gets the powers. That's how I saw it. I saw that he was going to get the powers.
They
from the
all
kid.
seem to have different ideas of what this thing actually did. So, apart from Abraxas and Secundus, who are the two finders and the two main big bulky guys who just basically smack into each other throughout the movie.
Oh, in the dumbest ways.
There are two like controller aliens who are telling them sort of what to do.
I didn't like them at all.
I didn't get them.
I didn't get them.
Every time it cuts them, I was just confused because they seem to be telling them what to do, but at the same time, Abraxas and Secundus were just ignoring them.
Why didn't they just have it as the
I
answer
think they
box? It could have been the answer box.
Like
telling
they were
Abraxas,
asking them
that's it.
questions, but then how would Secundus do it?
Huh?
Because Secundus had an answer box, but those two were trying to capture him.
What? How would what do it? Sorry.
Well, how would Secundus, the bad guy, be able to find the kid and find his way around through warp and all that without his answer box?
No, he can have an answer box. The answer boxes have their own personality.
Oh, I thought it should have been them telling them what to do, not the answer boxes.
No, it should get rid of those two characters. Just have the answer boxes.
Yeah, well, that's
It
all
would've
you
been
really
way better.
needed. But
we
it
have
has these
two
two
buddy
aliens,
things.
and they're constantly spouting exposition on this weird universe that they've created. There's Zargatius with their hot soups.
They just
And
kept
there's
talking.
Tyrannus 7, which is the prison planet that no one escapes from, that Secundus has escaped from multiple times.
Yeah. They kept saying shit that made no sense.
Well,
and
when they were talking about the
Well,
anti-life
it's wrong.
equation, they were talking about it's like, oh, if you activate it, it just destroys like the galaxy.
yeah,
Like it was just going to destroy everything.
It's a pretty big deal, but at the same time, they didn't seem to take it that seriously. Oh, well, so at the same time, it's like,
no,
oh yeah,
they were taking it really seriously.
No, they weren't.
But okay, so the
No,
warp
because
thing that they use.
No, wait. You wouldn't have sent Abraxas to get this guy again after he failed you. That's weird.
Abraxas is the exact person you'd send.
No, he sucks. Abraxas sucked at his job.
So one of the things you find out
Nah.
really early on. Okay, Secundus was Abraxas's old partner. He went bad. Abraxas has brought him in and arrested him multiple times, or at least once.
Yeah, but it always seems like he brings him in.
But every
after-
time he
Whoa.
brings him in,
It's
every
after
time he goes to
Secundus.
bring him in,
That's
he goes.
always- It's always after Secundus. It's always after Secundus has already fucking done his thing.
Well, yeah, because
What's the point of bringing him in
Secundus
there?
warps in, does his thing, and that's when Abraxas is brought in.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
it's
it's
already too late
But
for Abraxas to stop him.
Secundus lets him get him.
Secundus.
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 I don't care. It's a dumb name.
Yeah, Secundus surrenders because he's done what he needed to
That's
do.
not catching someone.
No, but he's caught him before, and he had him dead to rights. He was going to shoot him.
Yeah, but because he
Yeah,
literally
but he's
gives
not
up.
No, but it's okay. So Abraxas, for whatever reason, the law of these space police is you're not allowed to kill another space policeman.
No, that's
even
not
if
right.
yeah, you're not allowed to
kill
terminate them.
A finder, past, present.
Yeah, past or present. So you're not allowed to kill them at
Why-
all.
But the thing is, too, it's like, why wouldn't they just decommission him as a finder?
No, because he used to be a finder. It still counts
But
for
then
some reason.
later on,
Even
they were,
Abraxas in the movie is like, this is stupid.
they were threatening Abraxas that he wouldn't be a finder anymore.
yeah,
if
he
did
wouldn't
that
be a
stuff.
finder. He'd just go to jail or die of old age.
So this dude,
But they weren't going to kill him. They were never going to kill Abraxas. You can't kill a finder, or you're not allowed to, apparently.
That's so dumb.
Yes, Jared. It was incredibly dumb. It was brilliantly dumb. This was a great movie.
Even
I really
Abraxas
enjoyed this movie.
Is like, this is dumb, and this guy's broken out of that prison 8 times. And they're like, don't worry, no one's ever broken out of it. And Abraxas is like, what?
All that could happen is you could wipe out all of humanity as well as like all these, innocent people. Secundus's thing is he thinks Abraxas sees good and evil, whereas there's only power. And Abraxas, he just seems to be like a normal guy. It was weird.
He wants to find love. Like,
it was
hardcore.
weird that he was doing the whole Terminator shtick, where he doesn't know what emotions are, and then hanging out with the kid and the mom, he sort of learns that and he falls in love with them.
But we didn't do that.
He's meant to be a 10,000-year-old human.
But the thing is, though, we didn't do that. We didn't have he's emotionless, because straight off the bat, he doesn't carry out his assignment because it's a woman, so he doesn't shoot her. Yeah. So, like, straight away, we know he's not actually emotionless.
And he goes on in the intro how it's like, yeah, he has to get electrocuted to get this vaulting process, and it's not great. But at the same time, he gets to see the wonders of the universe and how great it is.
Yeah, so he's like
and
the least emotionless.
He already believes in good and evil.
I think he has the most emotion in this film.
But he doesn't emote.
No.
This movie is filled with the weirdest stilted dialogue.
So that's all that weird side subplots and main plots there. So let's get to...
Well, the movie itself is actually very basic.
Oh, extremely.
Evil alien comes to Earth, impregnates woman who instantly gives birth.
And now Abraxas chases him for the rest of the
film. Okay. Then 5 years later, kid has grown up and evil alien returns to capture him.
Yeah.
Good alien stops him. It's just sort of the Terminator plot.
Extremely simple, especially because 80% of the film is literally them just running after each other. I think the second time they come to Earth, do you remember how long that was?
I was kind of looking forward to like the fights. I was thinking, okay, these are two big guys. I think Jesse Ventura is a wrestler or something. I remember him from Running Man. So I was hoping for
That's why they got
a big fight scene or something.
He just runs.
And instead, you just get these very weird cuts of occasionally them sort of throwing punches at each other.
But they have this, so the second time they come back to Earth... Oh, okay, actually, wait. I kind of want to deal with the parents and how everyone deals with her having a kid.
So this poor woman has gotten caught up in the fight between Secundus and Abraxas. Secundus impregnates her just by touching her belly.
Yeah.
He gets carted off. Abraxas is told to kill her, to kill the child, to stop the coma.
Because, of course, the baby gets born within, a minute.
Yeah. He's like
super baby.
Bam, just born straight away.
That's a lot of things people would want, really.
Yeah, Abraxas spares her because he's not a psychopath. And then she's just left. They leave. They warp away. And she's just left in the snow with this baby just going, what the fuck is happening? In under 5 minutes, she's being attacked by aliens and given birth.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of a shock.
I'm going to be honest, I would not handle it as well as she did.
No, she handles it great.
Yeah.
Everyone else handles it poorly, though. I got to say, though.
Because the next,
you
15
think he's
minutes...
a psychopath for not shooting her?
No, I think he's not a psychopath, which is why he doesn't shoot her.
Okay, I get what you mean. Normally, shooting a pregnant person isn't good, and especially an innocent one, right? But if this person, what they're giving birth to is a thing that's going to blow up the entire universe just because he can get confused, that's not sounding good.
It didn't sound like any of them really knew what was happening.
They said it can trigger a way to trigger the antimatter thing to destroy the universe is just by confusing the kid or making him scared.
They didn't talk about that till later.
I know, but I'm just...
At the time, he was just saying
if he shot her...
They didn't even know if he did have it, just that he might.
But if you shot her to stop it,
yeah,
it's I get why someone, save the universe.
No, Abraxas is the good guy. He's not going to go around gunning down pregnant women.
Within 5 minutes of the film.
He can't even shoot Secundus, who is actively trying to end the universe.
Yeah, that's true. So,
it's so strange. And Secundus in no way is a good guy. There's no redeemable qualities at all.
So she has a baby, and she goes home, and of course, because her parents are just, Mensa level genius.
So strange. They instantly started asking who's the boyfriend? Who knocked you up?
Yeah.
Who did this to you?
And she's like, do you not see this baby?
Yeah,
Like,
she's like, it's confusing, you know. Obviously, I can't talk. It's like I can't explain it, but I gave birth.
yeah. And you know what? You'd even think that they would go like down the Christian route, like, you know, like, oh, it's a virgin
You've
birth.
got to keep it and raise it or something.
Yeah, virgin birth sort of thing. I mean,
No.
if someone literally just brings
That
a
would have
baby
made
home,
more sense.
but they don't think that she's just picked the baby up from
But-
out on a doorstep. They actually believe she got pregnant and gave birth within the space of like an hour.
Well, the thing is, the next 10 minutes is shitty small town America treats single mother kind of shittily.
Well, that's because the dad says...
because the parents
dad's like,
kick
if you-
her out.
Yeah, the dad's like, if you don't tell me who the dad is,
You're
then you're on
protecting the
street.
bastard's illegitimate child.
And then
Just
it's...
got to kick you out.
Which is really weird because you're just like...
Did you not notice that your daughter
wasn't pregnant for the
wasn't
last 9
pregnant
months?
in the morning and has come back with a fully grown child?
Yeah. Maybe they've been on holidays for like 9 months and they've just come home the same day. That's the only thing I can think of. They've been on holidays for 9 months and they've come home and
they
now
thought their
they've
daughter
met
had
her.
hidden a pregnancy from her. So
Yeah,
she's
they've been on holiday. They've
so-
been in Hawaii.
I can't remember what the woman's name is, but she's just been attacked by aliens, given
Yeah.
birth, and
Kicked
now
out
she has
home.
been kicked out of her home in the middle of like this snowy winter,
So she goes to the public office and there's a guy there.
like the town hall or
Yep.
something.
And he's like, what's the father's name? She's like, I don't know. She's like, come on.
You gotta have a father. You've got to tell us the father's name, lady.
Yeah, he's like, who pull the other one? And it's like, what is with this town? It's like they've apparently never contemplated the idea that someone doesn't know
I was like,
who the father is. They've never seen
What
Jerry
happened
Springer.
to the guy
Is it Jerry
who
Springer?
drove her down there?
Was it Jerry Springer? Jerry Springer must be post this movie.
Well, it was the 90s. It was 99,
Was it?
1990.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, they've got no excuse, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Who's the father? Is it Abraxas or is it Segundo?
Yeah, so after she gets the baby registered, it goes to like 5 years later, and we see that the kid has grown up but is mute. He doesn't talk. He's an okay kid, but he
Yeah.
doesn't talk.
He seems
And-
pretty normal.
He cried a little at birth, and then he stopped talking. And we get this hammered into us a few times because the mother talks to like a nurse and a friend and a doctor about it and just keeps saying the same thing over and again. Then we get to see the principal because apparently the kid is being bullied a little.
And principal's
That's
great.
really weird, yeah.
Yeah, this was
so
weird.
James Belushi is this school's principal,
Mm-hmm.
and in some of the weird stilted dialogue, his first asking if I think it was a comedy bit.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
was it comedy?
It was a whole set about,
He
your
was like-
son doesn't talk, therefore he's getting bullied. Like, this isn't good. And then she just goes, well, what, have you tried telling the kids not to bully him? And he goes, oh, not to bully him.
That's a great idea. I was like, is this principal like mocking her or something? He was like, no, he's serious. He's like, just tell the kids not to bully him. That's a great idea. I'll bring that up next time it happens.
Yeah, great idea.
I
you know
was-
what's weird? That never comes up again and he's never shown again. I
No,
don't
it's just
understand
that
it.
one scene. But he does jokes. He's like, oh, are you sure he's not just joking? Because sometimes I like to jump up and scare them when they're not looking.
Oh, that's
you know,
right. That was really weird.
I just go, rah.
I
It's
think,
so
you know what it was?
strange.
Maybe he wanted to be in a movie and he knew someone in this movie.
Well,
and he said, put me in the movie. So
But there are a
They have him
few
in there for
comedy
no
bits
reason.
here and there in the movie. Like occasionally, Abraxas's answer box, wrist boxing, it's a bit sassy to him, and it talks back and does stuff like that. So that every now and again, there's a bit that seems like it's from a comedy, but it doesn't work at all.
no, none of the humor works. It's dead. It's dead humor. James Belushi was horrible. That saying made no sense. Moving on.
So what we see is what's the kid's name? Tommy.
I want to talk about the long chase scenes that go for forever.
We should talk. So Tommy gets
Long
bullied,
chase scenes.
and he makes this kid
Oh yeah,
piss his pants.
that's
Just-
pretty good.
What as a bully, if some kid can just look at you and you wet yourself,
That's bad.
I wouldn't bully that kid.
Yeah.
And then he follows up.
Find someone
He
weaker.
follows him into the bathroom later and is like, oh, I'm going to give it to you now, Tommy or whatever. Tommy just looks scared and the kid flies backwards into a stall. I was like, has that kid died?
Yeah.
He goes back so fast.
We never see him again. So
Never
I,
gets
I-
brought up again.
I
so
can
whatever.
only assume the kid killed him. Like got killed.
Tommy seems like a good kid. He's got friends and everything.
Don't know
It's
how.
just the whole mute thing.
They must be big talkers,
Yeah.
you know? Big talker need a good listener.
Mm.
That's all I can think of. Well, while that's all happening, we have Abraxas and Sourdough Man.
Well, Abraxas, and first he gets into a huge argument with the two aliens, who I
he?
think are also
I
from
forget
Sagacious.
that. Skip over that bullshit.
But it's the whole thing. They're not allowed to kill finders, and he's like, that's incredibly stupid.
Skip
Just
over
let me
that.
kill Secundus. So they tell him to go and kill the kid as well.
So we go...
But Secundus has escaped from his prison again.
Sourdough is on Earth chasing after his son, and we get Abraxas. He gets to Earth, lands in the water, which apparently screws up his weapons. I think.
No.
Just
So
an
what
excuse.
happens is they go into a long discussion about this.
Why are you looking up like?
No, because that's the weird part about
There's
the
too
movie.
much space
There's
gas.
so much explanation
No
on
one
how
cares.
everything works, but
No
that's
one
it.
cares.
No one cared,
No
but they
one-
explained it.
Our listeners don't.
They
care.
have this weird warp tunnel thing, but you
Okay.
can only put one person at a time, which is why they can only send Abraxas. Anyway, because they both go off at roughly the same time, they lose their weapons. So they're on Earth without their weapons, and
It doesn't matter.
Secundus is a bit drained.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter because Secundus. Well, they both. This is a scene now. They just keep running. They run a long way.
It's just them running through the wilderness.
You know the worst
I
thing.
think it's actually filmed in Canada.
Wide angle, like pan shots where you see the actors just running in the wild. I'm not sure if you've not really gone out into the forest or the wild, like real wild, and tried to go for a run. Sometimes it's dangerous. Like
If
there's
you're
rocks,
off a path,
there's rocks
you
everywhere.
can slip. So it's them running slowly, very gingerly, like looking down as they're running and stuff.
Yeah, it's
Trying not to fall over.
That's why you need to like cut those scenes and like film in a different way. You don't want to show us like two middle-aged buff guys kind of looking at the ground going, oh, it's a bit dangerous here, and jumping to another rock. And,
Well, all the time they're constantly turning to yell at each other about there is only power.
and also
power.
we get to see the long running distance. They just run a long way.
Yeah.
Oh, jazz! We get jazz music. This movie,
Has the
I'm gonna say,
weirdest soundtrack.
worst soundtrack of all time.
You know what?
It's the most ill-fitting soundtrack I've ever heard. To a movie.
I honestly really enjoyed the end battle when they're going through that warehouse as it's
that's
exploding.
But
Because
the rest,
it felt like it was actually a music video.
this
It
whole movie,
all synced up really well to what they were doing, to their actions. I think it felt like it was a music
I
video.
thought it was a music video too. But this whole movie, half of it is just like sexy jazz music
Yeah.
while it's a chase scene, and it's like, I don't know where someone was like, yeah, this fits this scene.
Should we put in some like tense atmospheric music or slow jazz?
You know what's weird?
Slow
too?
jazz.
All they need is the music that's like, you know, like that.
No,
Bam.
could you do it again? Yeah, okay.
Something like that, yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Something
Like,
tense.
I'm talking
yeah.
about like John Carpenter, right? I'm talking about John Carpenter.
Oh,
sort
okay.
of
Something
music.
basic.
But not even like intro or like a loud score, like just literally just a little bit of the background where you hear like
Not sexy
like-
saxophone music.
sexy saxophone music for what is apparently your chase scenes and fight scenes was just confusing.
Yeah.
It was horrible. They get into town.
Well, okay. So Secundus is the first one out of the woods. He comes upon these campers.
Here comes a joke about the lawyers being lawyers because lawyers are funny.
This is the part where it's like it's sort of mixing comedy with the Terminator, because he finds this group of campers, and I think it's the dad with this big mustache, and they get into like a squabble, and it's so ridiculous. It's like you've got this giant guy, the actor's giant, who's meant to be this super powerful alien, arguing with this sort of lanky looking guy who keeps yelling that he's going to call his lawyers.
Yeah. Move on with it.
But they stay in the movie for like another 20 minutes because they end up giving Abraxas a lift into town.
Yes, I do. I can't remember what happens in town. I think we meet up the cops, So there's these two cops in town. These
Local
are
cops.
two well, no. They are local cops, but one's from out of town and he's
Yeah.
just been moved there from the
You
inner
know,
city.
it was really funny when you start hearing him talk, and I was like, this is just the kind of cop, I said jokingly, that is trying to militarize the police force or whatever.
Yeah.
And then later on in the movie, when he's confronting the alien, he whips out an Uzi and just starts blasting all over the place. And I was like, bingo, I was right.
So these two characters, we knew what characters they were going for, but they played them wrong. Like,
I don't know if they played them wrong. I
Well,
just don't think it worked.
that they said
One
it
of them's
wrong.
like a chill local cop kind
Yeah.
of guy who doesn't want any trouble.
But it's weird because he's given the role of like, once he hears there's a bit of trouble, he's like, I'm sure it's just Billy Bob getting drunk down, you know? And the
Yeah,
other
at
guy's
the
meant to
same
investigate
time-
it. But the other guy investigates and finds out, no, it's a bigger deal, right? But the problem is that it's not like they don't see it. They literally see this guy threaten to blow up a woman's face, and also they have 6 murders on their hand
Yeah.
already.
So Secundus comes into
that's not
town to
nothing.
track down the kid. He goes, eventually he gets to the town hall where he starts downloading all the kids' names. So he finds out the kid's name. He is massacring all the people in the town hall.
By blowing them
He's
up.
killing people.
He blows them up, people.
The police are there and no one can stop them. The minute he's gone, the police just sort of return to normal.
Yeah, and they go,
They don't call for reinforcements. Nothing else happens.
They go, I'm sure the small town cop guy's like, I'm sure it's nothing wrong. The other guy's like, I'm sure there's something to it. And the small town cop guy's like, it's only 6 dead. It's only 6 murders.
Yeah.
Only 6 murders where people get evaporated and exploded everywhere. And the guy also is impenetrable to bullets. It's like, yeah, you should probably be thinking that this is a problem. That this act that they have going at that point doesn't make sense. It's like at the very start it would make sense, not then.
Yeah. So Secundus sort of tracks down their house. He doesn't find them, but he finds their friends.
Yeah. Because Abraxas, of course, finds the
Abraxas
kid,
finds the kid and the
and
mom.
they get there, then they run off.
They run up to the apple farm because she works in this tiny town, has like a fresh produce place.
And this is what I want to talk about.
uh,
I want to talk about the apple farm.
Abraxas is able to shield the kid with his answer thing. So Secundus Secundus is like traveling through town, and there's a few incidences we should talk about
Okay.
with Secundus. Okay, so there's Secundus goes into the dining place to eat. This was one of the only scenes where I actually I think the comedy sort of landed.
Really?
He's this huge guy. This is after he's killed a bunch of people, and he orders food, and the 2 waitresses are scared shitless, but they're like, "Oh, okay, we better feed him."
Yeah, you know
Is
why
he
though?
the guy who killed
Yeah.
everyone? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is, but let's just give him the food. He orders all the food, and when they actually take him the bill, which, you know, they got balls, he eats the bill as he's walking out. He just puts it in his mouth, starts chewing on it, and walking out. What was happening? Did he get directed to do that?
It's just
What
a
was
filler.
that?
That was just because if they didn't have that, the only
You
other
see him
scenes you'd
eating.
have,
It's weird.
the only other scenes you'd have of him is him just running.
Oh, really, Jared?
That's it.
What about him confronting the guy on the car?
What are you talking about?
So after the dining scene, he goes out to confront this guy in the car and is constantly talking about, "Oh, I need breeding human females. Where are the breeding human females?" And I'm like, I don't know why he was looking for breeding human females, because at this point he knows the kid's name. He should just be able to ask where the kid is. Eventually he finds out there's a strip club, so he
Yeah.
steals the guy's car. Then we get footage of a stripper stripping for like a couple minutes.
And he
It
goes
pans
in,
down to Secundus entering. He looks around
wants to touch her.
and then just leaves.
No. He wants to touch her. He goes to touch her. The bouncers come out. He beats up 2 bouncers. Then she turns around and he sees that it's not her and he just walks off.
But why did he think it was her?
Because this was all filler. This
But-
was
but
all filler.
At no point did
This
he
was all
think.
filler.
At no point did he think she was a stripper. Was that scene just there to get a stripper in?
This is all filler. It's all
Oh,
time.
boy.
This is a film. Was it a canon film? No.
No, it's like Ruby Rose or
This is
something.
a film
I
where
don't
they
know.
said we need another 10 minutes, and they said, "Well,
Get a stripper in.
Well, no, I think he went, "Well, I can eat," and they went, "Yeah, that's pretty good," and he's like, "Well, I also like butts and boobs. And they're like, we got it. Got it. So eventually the little kid decides to run off.
Oh, well, we'll talk about the farm because
Will we?
you wanted to talk about the farm.
I want to talk about the weird scene.
Yeah, well, that's where it happens. There's a weird part where, so they're bonding. They're all the Abraxas, the mother, and the kid are all bonding real
apparently
fast.
they bond great. They
just get along. Even with Abraxas's weird stilted dialogue, he sort of comes across like Jared was saying, like Kevin from The Office.
Yes.
When his, there's the episode
he's like
where
a
he's
buff
doing
Kevin.
when he's doing his small words make long sentences big sort of thing, whereas he's using like clipped sentences. It sounds like that, but with really long words, like, you must not sweat in the car. Sweating is bad. Sweating will bring the Secundus here, and I will not be able to shield you from the Tefalonians. Stuff like that.
Do you reckon he's just making it up?
It sounds like that.
Well, we've got like two weird things that Abraxas does in this house, and one of them is he kind of just walks around naked. I think he walks around fully naked.
Not naked, but he definitely doesn't have a top on.
And it's very weird. And of course, it's like they've just met, and the mother, I don't know her name. She goes to the bathroom and she has a shower. And as she's having a shower, he like just straight up walks in, and she like looks out and sees him, and he sees her, and he's like, "Oh, sorry," and he goes away.
I think it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be the robot thing where it's like he doesn't understand what he's doing, but he clearly knows what he's doing because he's embarrassed. Yeah. Also, didn't he like stare at her for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, she like totally loves him now just because he's big and buff. Yeah. So fair enough. Then we have the really weird scene where
it was a little.
Abraxas is in bed, right? And he's up against a headrest.
He's sitting up in bed, like right. Fully sitting up.
So the bottom half of him, from like his waist down, is underneath the pillows, but the top half is fully showing, and it's his raw chest, and he's quite, as we said, he's quite big, and
we don't know if he's naked or not. I think that's what you're saying. Is he naked in bed?
He's definitely naked. He's a naked guy. He's a big, beefy, naked man in bed, and Tommy comes up, and Tommy's like. Actually, Tommy doesn't say anything.
I think Tommy's he's mute. I think he's scared. So he comes up and Abraxas waves him over, and they start sitting up next to each other.
But this is weird. I gotta get to the quote because I did write it down. So you have to imagine this is a big naked man that you've just met, and he's sitting in bed, and he says
with his little kid.
He says, "Come up here come up here for a story. It's about two men." And before he had even said that, when I saw him in the room naked with Tommy, I was like, what? And then he said, "Come up here for a story. It's about two men." I'm like, no, stranger, danger, get away from him.
Yeah. That's where I think he gives him some background into being a coma and that he just has to be good.
Yeah, it was something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was all, see, we're just discussing this in a slight pause, but you like this movie a lot more than me. I
enjoyed it. Okay, this movie is bad. It is really quite bad.
It's a bad, boring Terminator ripoff.
I found it entertaining, quite entertaining. It's just filled with. I like world building, and they just go out of their way to make this really crazy shit that really they don't need to.
Yeah, stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, the whole explaining how the warp thing works and the vaulting.
Yeah.
And sagacious. It's great. But yeah, what happened? Secundus basically gives up trying to find them. He goes to the school and he starts.
Oh yeah. I was wondering
is
what
that
happened.
when he crashes in the middle of town, which is where that meme is from?
What are you talking about? I'm so lost now.
Oh, okay.
What meme?
Isn't that the bit from the internet? You said it was on the internet. You'd seen it before.
What?
So, as Secundus is going through town, the police see him, and they fly around and they stop. They get out, they confront him, and they start both blasting away at him. He doesn't even move a muscle. He's just laughing at them. So of course, sort of the younger cop pulls out the Uzi and just goes, "Take this," and just starts blasting him. He still doesn't move, but he takes the gun and just starts shooting up the whole town.
No, I said that's
Like shooting up everything.
that's what I saw of the movie when I like flicked into it.
Oh,
saw him
I thought you'd
shooting.
seen it on the internet.
No, I saw
Okay.
him like
Yeah.
shooting everything. I think it was in the trailer, and it kind of looked really dumb, but like kind of fun. Like, oh, this
It
is a
is dumb.
Terminator who's gonna just blow everything up. But that's like his only scene that
I
he
don't
does that.
think they could. I don't think they could afford like the effects of him hitting anyone, so he misses everybody, and that there is just this terrible like bullet ricochet
So
things.
he goes to the school to hold the kids hostage, which of course then Tommy has to run there with them.
Yeah, Tommy decides to sort of give himself up, but when he gets close, Abraxas comes in and tries to save him.
Dude, it's boring as hell. Cue like the end of the film because it's just now them, I guess, fighting, and then they end up in a warehouse.
No, so okay, so I think we're getting a little confused here. But
Oh, wait, yeah,
basically,
he beats
Secundus manages to catch the kid.
He beats
takes
up
the kid-
Abraxas again. Oh yeah, sorry, again. This is like the third
Yeah,
time
okay.
he
This
beats
is something that
Abraxas
didn't
up.
make sense because they talk about it at the start. Abraxas has been vaulted to a special level, so he should be stronger than Secundus. But that's at the start of the film. Later, after they come back after 5 years, when they land without weapons, the aliens start talking and saying basically Secundus can beat him as long as he's not armed. So Secundus is stronger than him,
Still, yeah, because he beats him up all the time.
even though
All
he's
the
like
damn
gotten this
time.
extra special vaulting stuff.
Oh, this movie is terrible. So he runs off with Thomas because he beats up Secundus.
Now,
No,
I wasn't sure.
Sorry,
Has he,
Abraxas.
okay, he takes him to this warehouse.
Yes.
Now, did he prepare this warehouse beforehand?
Yeah, of course, because how else are you going to have a music video like that?
Okay, so Secundus has realized that to get him to work out the anti-life equation, he needs to get the Comar, his son, to he basically needs to scare the shit out of him.
Yeah, scare
Just
the anti-life
scare
equation
him
out of him.
till he opens up the other universe,
Yep.
which either makes him a god or destroys everything. Not
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, it's one of the two. It's, 50-50.
So he takes him. So he takes this little kid to an abandoned warehouse, and again, this is another creepy part. Grown man takes this kid to an abandoned warehouse, and is just following him along. Sort of just throws him onto a chair and stuff. That's when the music video really kicks in. The music starts, and as Tommy is looking around, things are just exploding. Everything he looks at just explodes. So he's walking around exploding things with his eyes, and Secundus is just sort of following him around, telling him he's going to get him.
Then Abraxas gets her and fights him.
All the time, the music playing over with the saxophone.
I
and
just want to get this out. I like how the difference between the way we're both
See, I
explaining
thought this was one of the most interesting
You're
parts
like,
of the movie.
whoa, didn't know this happens. And I'm
it
like,
was the most entertaining part of the
Abraxas
movie.
fights him, and then the kid, I think, helps out. I think. I
Okay,
don't know.
So Abraxas and Secundus fight a little. Again, all the fights are really bad.
So bad.
They take a couple of swipes at each other and it cuts away whenever they're about to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
The kid looks at his dad, Secundus, and Secundus is just like blown out of the factory. But
Yes.
Abraxas falls down and he's holding on by one hand on this second floor. And I don't know what exactly was going to happen, but Tommy's like pointing his finger like a gun at him, like he's freaking out.
No, he's not. He's reaching his hand out, isn't he?
I wasn't okay. I think
This
that's the
is
thing.
funny. This
You're not
is
meant to
funny.
be sure what exactly is happening because that's when the mum runs in and she's like, "Tommy, no, Tommy, you can't do it." So I was like, "Is Tommy trying to help him or blow him
Well,
away?"
you forgot Abraxas' monologue in his head. Abraxas says, "It was at that point that I was unsure if Tommy was going to blow me away or give me a hand or like save me." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" Tommy in the other scenes has said how much. He hasn't said,
Yeah,
but
he basically
she
said he loved him.
yeah, that. Oh
I don't
no,
think
he wrote
he's
it
his
down.
enemy
He
or
wrote it
anything.
down.
Yeah, he writes down how much he
That's
likes
right.
Abraxas.
Tommy goes to run away and he writes down a note, and in the note it's like, "I love you, Mom, and I love the other man, dude, and I think I love Abraxas." And I'm like, "Ooh, okay, ooh,
But
whatever."
Tommy doesn't kill Abraxas and he leans down and sort of helps pull him up, which how much help could that little kid help, honestly?
Yep.
I mean, yeah. Abraxas gets up and Secundus is like defeated.
Well, he's not. He comes back.
This is the weird. They fight a bit again, and basically Abraxas has Secundus, and Secundus is just like, "You can't kill me. I'm just going to escape again and try and get the anti-life equation." And that's when the aliens are talking to them and going, Abraxas, you must not kill him. Kill the child. You've got to kill the child to get rid of the anti-life equation. And Abraxas decides, I'm just going to get my answer box to run the test.
Yeah.
So he puts his answer box up to Secundus' thing, gets it to run the anti-life equation. And I don't know if we've mentioned, but if you run the anti-life equation and you don't have the anti-life equation,
answer.
If you don't have the answer to it, you just explode. So he does that. Secundus explodes, and I think the aliens are pleased.
Yeah, they're really
because
happy.
It's like they're like, oh, that was a loophole. You did it. So you did everything we wanted.
I don't know why they couldn't just tell him. Oh, and also then Abraxas stays on Earth because he wants to become the
he wants to. He's like, well, someone's got to look after him. I'm like, you know what? That makes complete sense. You should have an army guarding this kid if you don't want to kill him.
Oh, also, the kid speaks in the end.
Did he? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's like the very, like, you know when it's like they're panning out and the credits are coming over, the kid's like, Daddy, that was a great film. He doesn't say that. I don't know what he says. I can't remember, but I think it's like, I love you all.
Yeah, something terrible.
Something really, really bad.
Something really awful.
That's Abraxas. Clearly, you liked it a bit more than I did.
This movie is really bad, but I found it entertaining. I enjoyed watching it.
All right. You know, like,
that's
just your opinion, man.
It's a terrible ripoff of Terminator.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Terminator 2 meets Highlander 2, with the Zeist aliens.
I get what you mean, though, by, like, at least they sort of tried with their own explanation. Like, I didn't think it was good. I thought the world building was terrible, but
yes. I found it very entertaining. I thought it was hilarious
that they
were trying to build this world, and it just failed so badly.
They were so bad.
It just resulted in all this stilted dialogue.
Coherent dialogue? Nope. Coherent, like, world building?
The weird conversations, even with the normal people, like with James Belushi's bit as the principal.
That's just...
Or how about the scene we haven't where the mother is taking Tommy to school, and you just get a shot of her skipping down the road singing to the kid.
Yes, because if you didn't have these scenes, right? If you didn't have like, all the weird scenes are filler scenes.
Well, it's only 87 minutes, so...
Yeah. How long would the movie be if we didn't see the dude eating, her skipping for no reason, and the dude going to the strip club? Oh, and the two aliens who just argue for no reason, which we don't know.
They were really weird. They reminded me of something like Mystery Science Theater 3000, where it goes back to the spaceship and you got the robots yelling at each other. That's basically what these two are.
This movie would legitimately be, I think, like 40 minutes or less.
Yeah, and if you took out a lot of the running...
What? You got like 2 minutes of film, then that's you have to leave the running. So that is Abraxas. I don't think I have anything more to say on it.
Would you recommend it? Did you enjoy it? I thought you were enjoying it, but I didn't, because I heard you laugh at it a few times.
Copy. Sorry, I'm doing no coffee for a month, as you might have just been in a hotel.
Yeah.
As I just said the word for no reason. If we had a better copy of it and it had better audio, I think I would have enjoyed it a bit more. I don't think it's really that bad of a movie. It's you know what? Yeah, if you get a good copy, I think it's okay.
I think just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, watch it
Pretty
on YouTube.
entertaining. Don't spend money on this.
Don't watch the Turkish version where it's all in Turkish. I mean, unless if you speak Turkish. There is English version so that you can find.
Okay.
No problem. That is Abraxas, boys. Thanks for listening to The End of the Reel. If you know anyone else who is a fan of good bad movies, share this podcast around to them. Sharing is the best way to help promote our podcast.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.